Meow meow. My name is Emma Genesee, and I am training for Cincinnati's Flying Pig Marathon. I wasn't sure if I wanted to do a Flying Pig vlog because of this irrational fear I have about not being able to do it this time around. More on that later. When I first trained for Flying Pig again, I wrote a post on Reddit on the Nike Run Club app, and I felt it really came from the heart. So I am going to read it for you. I started training for Flying Pig in 2019 to run the race in May 2020. Big surprise. It got postponed. Then heartbreaking. It got canceled. I wasn't a runner before training that first time. I didn't know anything about running, to be honest. In 2019, there were some signs that it was time to go get that carrot. It was something I just wanted to check off. I had never trained for a marathon before. I refused to run 26.2 miles in 2022. I celebrated the new race date by running 20 miles. A lot of people now know that I run or that I've done marathon training, but I don't know how many people realize that I never reached the finish line. So many things in my life are so different from when I started that first time in October 1st on 2019. Some things that I wish had stayed the same, some that I'm glad are now changing. There's been a lot of mixed feelings this past week about starting this time around. So many more responsibilities for the next 3 months. Will I have time? How to make time? This sounds like a lot. Can I do this right? With so much going on, where can I find the energy to do all this stuff? It wouldn't be impressive if it was easy. Running Flying Pig was and is special to me. It's sentimental. I've always identified as a flying pig. I was born year of the pig. I don't even remember how I learned about Flying Pig Marathon. Probably from just Googling pictures of flying pigs in high school. I just knew that one day I would run this marathon. It's beyond words how special this is to me. I'm going to get my official wings. That is what I wrote. And I don't have a lot of notes about what I wanted to say for this first vlog. So, the first thing I'm going to say is that there will be pain. And like a week or two ago, I got new shoes for long runs, and they've been kind of painful to run with. I'm giving them one more chance, which is today. And if I'm still hurting with them, then I'm going to return them and I'm going to get new shoes. And I started feeling like, oh my God, like I'm hurt. Like I'm going to get hurt. Like I'm not going to be able to run Flying Pig. And I don't remember feeling like this the first time that I trained. And looking back at my notes about the first time that I trained for Flying Pig, on the Nike Run Club app, I realized that there was a lot of pain and discomfort that I completely had forgotten about. At the top of my head, I can think of like three, um, w- four, 3 or 4 runs that I remember were painful. And looking back at my notes, I realized that there was so much more. And yeah, there will be pain. And that makes me feel better. Like, no matter what, you're going to experience something. And there might be things that you are doing that will hinder you or help you on your marathon journey. And I feel that unfortunately, you're just not going to know what it is until you like start training and like live through it and like read about marathon training and running and all that stuff. Another thing that I'm gonna say is that it will always be scary. Like, I'm scared. I'm scared right now. I think that when I first started training in 2019, my fears were very internal. They were just based on insecurity, like doubting if my body could do this, doubting if I was able to run the full marathon, like just not being confident about my abilities and that kind of stuff, like very internal. And because I didn't get to run in 2020 because of the virus flying around, it was very external. And I feel now that this time around, my fear is an external fear about the marathon being taken away from me like that again. Like, I'm gonna get hurt, or something's going to happen that I won't be able to fly to Cincinnati, or something's gonna happen and I'm gonna go and I'm not gonna have a good time because like this happened, or something happened to like somebody or something like that, like out of my control. Another pandemic is gonna strike and I'm not gonna be able to do this marathon again. Very external fears like that. And if it's external, I feel like, why even bother with it, because I'm not gonna be able to do anything about it anyways. So the point is that i'm I'm training again. This is my second time training. No, I've never run a marathon before still, but I'm still scared. And I don't know how like professional runners feel, or like someone who's run at the Olympics or whatever, but something tells me that it will always be scary. Another thing that I wanted to say is about shoes. Get different shoes. The first time that I ran with the same shoes for an entire year. And you should not be putting your body through that. And I was running with minimalistic shoes. I still love those shoes, the Vibram Five Fingers, the V Run specifically, but do not run with the same shoes all the time. I now have minimalistic shoes for speed runs or runs under 30 minutes. That would be the minimalistic ones, but usually I cap it at like 20-25 minutes. If it's 30 minutes, I would probably go with other shoes, but definitely under 30 minutes, some type of shoe. And for your long runs, have or recovery runs, have other another pair of shoes. I'm thinking about doing more mountain running, and I want to get running shoes specifically for like trail running. So I have at least two different pairs of shoes. I would say three pairs of shoes would be ideal. And I know that this might be sounding like, oh well duh, but I didn't know at the time. If you are getting blisters from your shoes, you either need new shoes or your shoes don't fit you. If you need like blister protection, I used blister protection with um shoes that first time that I ran for the longest time. Even last year or this year, until I got new shoes, I was still using blister protection, and I didn't realize like those shoes were half a size too small. Like they still fit me, but just so you know, this is stuff that you learn along the way. And stretching, do pre-run like dynamic stretches and post-run stretches before you get to the before you get in the car and drive back home. Do post-run stretches. Um I do like 5 dynamic stretches before and 5 post, I believe. And I can't imagine not having full on proper stretching. Like I also go to hot yoga twice a week, and for a while, that first time that I ran for Flying Pig, uh I think I had just kind of broken up with the studio that I was at, so I didn't have a hot yoga studio for a while, and that was kind of tough. You you just have to take care of your body in more ways than just running when you're doing a marathon. Like, I cannot imagine not doing full on body stretching like at least twice a week. Keep notes either on a physical journal or, I mean, I recommend the Nike Run Club app, and there's a notes section, and try to always just write down notes about your run, how it made you feel, things like that. Another thing that was very important for me is that I'm from the South, so I've only just lived in warm weather climates, and I don't really know what the cold feels like. And I've only seen snow like once in my life, and it's different to dress running to go run in the cold or like chilly weather than it is to if you're going out to dinner. Like, you can still wear a dress and a sweater, and you just have to like endure the cold, like if you're walking to and from your car. But it's different if you're out there running in the cold for like 2 hours. So I would at least write down notes on the weather and what you wore, and if you felt good or not, or if you thought that you should add another layer, or that you should have not had an extra layer, things like that. Because there's a bunch of notes that I have about the degrees, the what the weather was in degrees, and what I wore, and if that felt good or not. The last piece of advice that I'm gonna say is that I remember one time in like 2019, I was talking to my dad about like, oh yeah, I didn't want to run, but I went, I did it anyways. Like, I was, I had my marathon training plan, and he was like, you have to, because you have to build stamina. And stamina is not something that you can just go buy at the store. You can't go buy stamina 2 months before you run this marathon. If you want to run this marathon, you have to run on the days that you are supposed to run. And, there will be times where you're going to have to change your running schedule to fit certain things that happen in your life. But after he told me that, I never complained about not feeling like running, and I've never had that feeling ever again, because it's true. If you want to run a marathon, it's a little bit more in the piggy bank each time that you go run. You really cannot go by stamina. And I don't really think of it as stamina, because Coach Bennett said something sometime on a run about endurance, and endurance is like both physical and mental. So you can't stamina pain, but you can endure the pain. So endurance, it's not something that you can just go out and buy. You have to do it. You just have to commit. And that is everything I'm gonna say for this first vlog about Flying Pig. I'll check in probably next month. I'll see you in the next vlog.